Women who dated older men as teenagers that now realize they were predators. What's your story? My mother found older boys to introduce me to when I was 15, 16. She would take me to coffee shops or sneak me into bars and charm her way with men in their 20s, only to introduce them to me. I would date them, and she would get chores done around the house that she needed. Painted kitchen, fixed cabinets, roof work, stuff like that. I remember my best friend's mom trying to warn me and explain to me why it was wrong of my mother to let her 15-year-old date 25-year-olds. But I just thought I was really cool. It wasn't until one of them found me online and reached out a few years ago that I realized what she'd actually been doing all that time. And of course, none of these guys knew what the fuck they were doing, so the house looked like shit anyways. Your mother was whoring you out for cheap labor? Jesus. Do you have a relationship with her today? She still doesn't see it this way. You'll always resent that. Your situation was so fucked up, but I need to comment cause that last line made me laugh so much. He was my guidance counselor. I didn't realize how creepy he was until he proposed. The whole thing was fucked. Monsieur, what guidance could this man possibly have given to anyone? Question mark. Fucking weirdo. You must not be familiar with guidance counselors. Even the non-pedo ones couldn't guide anyone out of a paper bag. My high school guidance counselor was the least useful person in my entire school's administration. As a student interested in pursuing a degree in architecture, it was recommended that I take Spanish V rather than architecture because Spanish is useful. I was also reminded to make sure I had all required prerequisites for the classes I was interested. Like if I wanted to take Art 2D or 3D. Make sure I took Art 1D first, as she tried to convince a friend to turn down an offer to Harvard for community college because she might miss home. Edit. I had sex with a 28-year-old when I was 13 and thought it was perfectly normal. He always complimented me, bought me stuff, and drove me places when I needed a ride. Looking back now, I can't believe I didn't realize how fucked up that was. To this day, he can't find someone to date that's his age. I'm 24 now. From what I heard from rumors, you didn't realize it was fucked up because you were a child and your brain wasn't developed enough. Which is exactly why children can't consent to sex. There's a scumbag in our town that dates all the town's 16-year-olds. My husband got beaten up by him for protecting scumbag's girlfriend from him. She was a classmate of his. Douchebag broke my husband's rib and kicked him on the ground. Luckily he got a short jail sentence and a 3-year restraining order. My husband felt terrible when it happened because we'd just started dating long distance and he thought it sounded like a weird catfishing story. Guy is 35 now and still dating girls who don't know any better. Fuck you, Chris, you asshole. As a father, the comments scare the shit out of me. If you leave your wife, stay involved with your kids. It was my mom's new husband that got to me around 8. Once I hit 12, I was having sex with teenagers and guys in their 20s in what I now realize was some stupid attempt at taking back control after years of abuse. This isn't even mentioning my crazy abuse of drugs during that time, and my current use of alcohol. Honestly, I just started reading the Gift of Fear book that gets mentioned around Reddit, and it's a tough read. But it really does spell out how abusers groom victims. I do recommend it. I was 11 and he was 23. We didn't date. He had a girlfriend, but he would sext me and send me nudes. Eventually I realized it was strange and blocked him. Monsieur. Didn't tell anyone about it. I sometimes wonder if it's impacted me more than I would care to admit. 11? Exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark. I had boobs at 11 and got hit on by a disgustingly high number of grown men. I was 15 with a 21-year-old. He hung around youth group and made all us younger girls feel special with his attention. I was shy and quiet. Didn't stand out much, but obviously wanted the special attention that all the prettier, peppier girls got. He wasn't interested until he found out my mom worked nights and I was home alone. We ended up getting into a pretty heated argument and split when. 2 weeks in, I still hadn't let him come over because I was terrified of what my mom would do if she knew I'd had anyone over while she was gone. Greater than made all us younger girls feel special with his attention. Male attention is a fucking superpower for girls that age. It's terrible. Glad you stood up to him, but kudos to your mom for raising you right. I was 15 and met a 30-year-old who was an older brother of a boy I met in group therapy. He used to tell me how complicated and mature I was. Lol, so cliche. I'm now 24 and seeing or interacting with anyone who is 15 makes me sick. I felt so old then, but it's insane now how obvious to me that people that age are children. I feel the same way. I'm in shock whenever I see a 16-year-old because they're just so young. I'm 32 now, same age as the man that took advantage of me. He texted that he was standing outside my middle school waiting for me. I broke out in a cold sweat and I knew I had made a massive mistake. Edit. Some comments have been asking for details. I hesitate, because it is shameful and I know in my heart it was wrong and part of it is not my story to tell. But maybe this can be a cautionary story for other young women. I was going down a bad path when I was 14. I looked up to a friend that lived by her own rules. She did whatever she wanted and didn't care about consequences. If I wanted to be in with her and her friends, I couldn't be a baby. I had to do grown-up things. One day, my friend came to me and casually told me she had slept with a 19-year-old. And over the course of our conversation it came out that he hadn't used a condom. Monsieur, I got her help. I had to lie to do it. But my friend was angry that the guy wouldn't answer her texts. I told her to give me his number, stupidly thinking I could appeal to him to apologize and do right by her. I was trying to get him to text her back and work things out. But the next thing I know, he's asking me for my picture. He wants to know if I'm really who I say I am. Monsieur, I should have stopped there. But I sent him the picture. Next thing I know, he starts saying how cute I am while my friend is reading his texts back to me at the same time. The whole thing is surreal. My friend looks like she ready to blow the whole thing over and she swears up and down she's not going to bother about the guy anymore. We let it drop. The guy keeps texting me for the next few days trying to wheedle me, and I get this awful idea in my head. If I want to stop being treated like a baby, I have to do what my friend is right. She doesn't care about rules or boundaries, so why should I? And I did something terrible. I flirted back at "Hi monsieur." Things started to escalate. He would ask for nude pictures. He sent me graphic videos. Then he started planning for us to meet and have sex. Always in public places. I was scared and I knew I had gone too far. I tried to blow him off. I thought he would lose interest after that. But that was the day when he texted me that he was at my school. A lot of things from those years fill me with shame. But this is the hardest to deal with because I know I didn't do right by my friend. No matter what our friendship was like, I should have told the truth and gotten her help even if it got her in trouble. It took me a long time to realize we were both being preyed upon, and I'm not sure if my friend ever saw it that way. God, what did you do? I filed out behind a huge group of kids and ran home. I never saw him, so I'm not sure where he was. I was 13 with a 22-year-old boyfriend. He made me feel special. Grown up. My friends were all jealous. TBH, he was hot. A predator but a solid 10 out of 10. We met on Xbox Live. Those were the days. And started a relationship. I was in my ugly duckling phase, so was drawn into it by the attention. No boys my own age seemed interested in me. I was bullied a bit and it was nice for a good-looking older boy to think I was pretty. He slowly pressured me into sex. Started with pushing me into sexual acts on webcam, to oral, then full sex. He always insisted on filming everything because he loved me so much he wanted to only use our videos as porn. What I wasn't aware of was the fact he was showing all his friends, and they made bets on how quickly he could get me to do something else. Whenever I pushed back, he always said, if I wanted to date a man, I needed to act like a woman, otherwise he would find a girl more willing to have a proper relationship with. Hi, monsieur. He then tried to pressure me into sleeping with his friends. Started with a threesome, him included. Then one night he asked me to just sleep with his friend. I saw his friend give him money, which is when I realized this whole thing was a lie and left. Wow, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I hope you're doing well now. Oh yeah, I'm fine now. Went through a rough patch after this where I relied on sex to prove my self-worth, but snapped out of that at 15 and realized I needed help. A few years of therapy later, I was back on track. I was 16. A school teacher of 30 used to touch me and text me stuff. I didn't really realize it was bad until some years later when he married a girl from my class. I didn't tell anyone because I was scared that people would think that it was my fault. That exact experience, except he had sex with me 2 days after I reached the age of consent in my state. I eventually got him fired. Mom reported him when I was suicidal, and everyone in the school turned against me because he was the most popular teachers. It was terrible. I'm sorry that you had to go through that, and I hope it doesn't affect your life too much now. My first boyfriend, I was barely 15. He was 21, worked in a local shop, and all the girls at my school liked him, so came as a bit of a surprise when the biggest dork ever, me, somehow landed him and not any of the popular girls. We dated for maybe 4 months. Turned out he was sleeping with 3 girls in my year, which I found confusing because I begged him to take my virginity to no avail. Always found that really weird and insulting that he never even wanted to sleep with me. Plot twist. My mom had stormed into the shop when we first started dating and told him, if you take my daughter's virginity, I will kill you with my bare hands. God bless you, monsieur. Your mom knew you were dating someone that much older and was okay with it as long as he didn't have sex with you. That seems odd. My guess is that usually when moms forbid their own kids from seeing someone, it tends to have the opposite effect. So her mom did what she thought would work. Yeah, my parents let me go on dates with a 28-year-old when I was 18 because they were afraid of me, thinking it was forbidden love. Their only rule was I had to drive, so I was in control. And then they paid my brother to tease me mercilessly about dating an old man. It worked like a charm. I figured out pretty quickly that my brother was right, and it was weird. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.